Okay, so let's unpack this. Has you ever found yourself, staring at a blank screen,
Hmm.
needing to create something visual? Maybe a presentation that really pops, or uh, a social media graphic.
Yeah, something that grabs attention.
Exactly. Or even just a nice-looking document. And you just felt totally intimidated by the software.
Oh, absolutely. Like you needed some kind of special training just to figure out where the tools even were. You are definitely not alone in that feeling.
Right. It's that feeling of being overwhelmed makes you feel like, maybe I'm the problem.
Yeah, exactly. But this deep dive, it's all about a company that saw that exact frustration, that universal feeling, and decided, okay, we need to do something totally different here.
We're talking about Canva, of course,
Yeah.
the online graphic design platform. Their whole mission was basically make design simple. Simple for everyone.
And we've pulled together insights from quite a bit of material for this. Articles, interviews with the founders themselves, historical accounts, really trying to trace that journey.
From this, simple idea born in Australia to becoming this huge global force that empowers millions of people to actually become designers in their own right.
Our mission today really is to dig into that, to extract the key nuggets from these sources. How do they actually pull it off? Taking something so complex like graphic design
Yeah.
and making it seem so incredibly easy, so intuitive that anyone can use it, what's the secret sauce there?
And what can we maybe learn from their story about, persistence, focusing on the user, building something meaningful? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How do you turn that common user frustration into a massive success story? Let's dive in.
Okay, so where does this story actually begin? Well, it really kicks off with one of the co-founders, Melanie Perkins.
Right.
This is back when she was at university in Perth, Western Australia. And she wasn't just studying design, she was actually teaching it.
Teaching the big complex
Yeah.
programs like InDesign and Photoshop.
Exactly, the industry standards. And what she saw firsthand was this huge gap. The software, yeah, it was powerful, no doubt. But it was also, just ridiculously complicated and super expensive.
Sources mentioned it would take students, like an entire semester.
An entire semester
Yeah.
just to learn the interface. Like, where are the buttons? Forget actually learning how to design effectively.
Wow, that's not ideal.
Not at all. And it led straight back to that feeling we mentioned. Students felt, well, stupid.
Yeah.
They felt like they weren't cut out for design. But the real barrier, it was the tool itself.
So that frustration, it sparked something in her, a different way of thinking.
Absolutely. It led to this core belief: the software is the problem, not the person using it.
Okay.
And she started imagining this completely different kind of design tool. It had to be simple. It needed to be online, cloud-based, so you could use it anywhere.
Collaborative too, right? So people could work together.
Yes, collaborative was key. And crucially, it needed to have all the assets you'd need: photos, fonts, illustrations, built right in, easily accessible.
So the vision wasn't just a better tool, it was bigger than that.
Much bigger. The driving force was this huge goal: democratize design.
Democratize design, meaning what exactly?
Meaning taking the skill, which felt locked away behind expensive software and, years of professional training, and making it genuinely accessible to everyone, regardless of your technical skill, regardless of your budget.
That's a really powerful vision. But, okay, how do you even start to prove something like that is possible? It sounds huge.
Right. Well, before Canva existed, they took this really clever first step. Back in 2007, Melanie and her partner, Cliff Obrecht, another co-founder, started a smaller business.
Okay, what was it?
It was called Fusion Books.
Fusion Books.
And it was essentially a very specific, very simplified online design platform, but focused on just one thing:
Which was?
creating school yearbooks.
Yearbooks. Interesting. Why yearbooks?
Well, think about it. It's a complex design project, right? Lots of pages, photos, text, but it's done by people, students, teachers who usually have zero design training.
Ah, okay, so it's like a perfect test case.
Exactly. Could people with no design background successfully create something like a yearbook using a simple online tool? It was a contained way to validate their core idea.
And did it work?
It really did. Fusion Books started getting traction. Schools in Australia picked it up, then New Zealand, even France.
Wow.
It proved the model. It showed there was a real need, a real hunger for this simplified online way of doing design.
Okay, so proof of concept, check. But building a platform for all design, not just yearbooks. Yes, that's a whole different scale, right?
Yeah.
That needs money.
Serious money. venture capital, and trying to raise VC funding from Perth, Western Australia back then. Well, the sources describe it as incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I remember reading it was called the most isolated city in the world for a tech startup.
Pretty much. So they knew they had to look further afield. They had to go where the tech money was.
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. And this is where the story gets, well, a bit legendary. There's this critical encounter in 2011.
Okay, what happened?
A prominent Silicon Valley VC, Bill Tai, happened to be visiting Perth, and he was also apparently a big kite surfer.
Kite surfing. Okay, random detail, but art.
It becomes relevant.
No.
But Melanie, showing incredible determination, managed to corner him at some startup event. She got just 5 minutes of his time.
5 minutes. That's it.
That was it initially. But in those 5 minutes, she must have made an impression because she secured an invitation to come pitch him properly in San Francisco.
Okay, step one achieved. But getting the actual meeting in SF wasn't easy either, right?
No. Sources say Bill Tai was initially unresponsive to follow-ups. This is where Melanie's persistence really stands out. She didn't just, wait by the phone.
What did she do?
She kept following up, politely but persistently, letting him know she was actually coming to California, making sure that meeting happened. That relentless follow-through seems absolutely crucial to their story.
So she gets the meeting. What was the pitch? Was it Canva yet?
Not quite.
Yeah.
The pitch deck was titled The Future of Publishing, and the vision was massive. Like, replace Microsoft Office, go beyond even things like Google Docs in terms of simplicity and collaboration, but specifically for creating visual content, a huge goal.
Wow. Bold. But even with Fusion Books working and this big vision, it wasn't smooth sailing, was it?
Oh, not at all. Sources talk about facing countless rejections. One account mentions hundreds.
Hundreds. Why? What were the reasons?
A mix of things. You're based too far away in Australia. You don't have a credible tech team yet. That was a big one. Your valuation seems too high. Just rejection after rejection.
That must have been brutal.
Melanie said herself, each rejection really hurt. You can imagine. But here's the thing. Instead of giving up, she learned from them.
How so?
She apparently improvised the pitch deck based on the feedback, constantly tweaking, refining, learning from what wasn't working, turning that pain into improvement.
That resilience is incredible. Was there a turning point? A key piece of advice?
Yes. A really pivotal moment seems to be meeting Lars Rasmussen, the Google Maps co-founder. That's the one. Apparently, this connection also involved kite surfing, which Melanie actually took up to network in that scene.
Okay, the kite surfing makes sense now. What does Lars say?
He gave her some tough but crucial advice. For a tech platform this ambitious, you need a top-tier tech team, a technical co-founder. Get that first, then the investment will be easier to find.
Okay. So find the tech lead before chasing the money.
Exactly. That shifted their focus completely. Finding that technical co-founder became the #1 priority.
And they found someone.
They did. They eventually connected with Cameron Adams, who had serious tech credentials, including experience at Google. He became the 3rd co-founder, bringing that essential technical leadership.
So tech team sorted. What about the funding? Did Bill Tai come through?
This is another great part of the story. Bill Tai initially offered them what he sort of jokingly called a participation award, just $25,000.
Ouch. After all that.
Right. But Melanie, again, didn't just accept it. Sources say she actually debated him for a full hour.
An hour. Wow.
Yeah. And she convinced him to increase it to $100,000.
Okay, $100 is better, but still maybe not huge in VC terms. Why was that amount so important?
It wasn't just the money itself, it was the signal. Getting Bill Tai, a respected Silicon Valley name, to put in a 6-figure sum that gave him credibility. It showed other investors, okay, someone serious believes in this. It unlocked the door to further investment, a critical turning point.
Got it. So the pieces are falling into place, tech team, initial funding.
Exactly. Canva Ltd. Was officially founded on January 1st, 2013. And the platform, the actual Canva website, launched in August 2013.
Okay, the launch. Big moment. Smooth sailing from there.
You'd think, but incredibly, the very first article written about them was actually negative, and it broke the press embargo they'd set up.
Oh no, after all that work.
Yeah.
That must have felt awful.
Just imagine, it really could have killed their momentum before it even started. But something interesting happened.
What?
The community responded, not the press, the actual users. People started commenting online, on blogs, social media, saying how much they loved using Canva.
So the users basically overruled the bad press.
In a way, yes. And that happened because of the product itself. It was designed to be so easy, so intuitive.
Right.
People could jump in, figure it out in minutes, feel successful making something cool, and then immediately want to share it or tell others about it.
That inherent shareability.
Exactly. That user buzz, that organic community voice was incredibly powerful and kind of drowned out that initial negativity.
So that early user love was the foundation for growth.
Absolutely. And the growth was fast. In the first year alone, they went from 0 to over 750,000 users.
Wow.
And importantly, they weren't just chasing users. They became profitable by 2017 with nearly 300,000 paying customers then.
And the growth curve wasn't just steady, it was
Exponential. Sources describe it as accelerating, rapidly doubling monthly active users year after year for a period, going from 1 million to 10 million, 20, 40.
How did they sustain that? Was it just the product being good?
The product was core, but their strategy was smart too. Think about who they targeted early on.
Okay, who?
Not professional designers. They already had their complex tools. Canva went after influencers first.
Why influencers?
Because they need visual content constantly for their online presence, but often lack formal design skills. Perfect fit.
Makes sense.
Then they expanded to social media marketers, bloggers. Again, people needing frequent visuals, but not necessarily design experts. This group was easy to excite, engaged, and naturally spread the word.
And they actively nurtured that community, right?
Yep.
It wasn't just passive.
Definitely not. There was this early initiative using just a simple Google form on Facebook. They reached out to find users who really loved Canva
Okay.
and invited them to join an exclusive group. It became this invite-only community. They got direct feedback, ideas, and essentially turned their most passionate users into brand ambassadors.
So building with the community, not just for them.
Precisely. That feeling was crucial. And this commitment to listening became formalized in what they call their Close the Loop program.
Close the loop. What's that?
It's basically a system for gathering and acting on customer feedback. We're talking millions of pieces of feedback mentioned in the sources.
Millions. How do they even process that?
Well, the key insight isn't just collecting it, it's acting on it systematically. They track requests, prioritize them, build the features users are asking for.
And then the closing the loop part.
Is telling the user, they'd actually email people and say, hey, remember that feature you suggested? We just shipped it. Thanks.
Wow, that's powerful. People must love that.
It builds incredible loyalty. It makes users feel genuinely heard. And it's seen as a significant competitive advantage.
And that probably feeds into the virality too, right?
Totally. Those viral loops you hear about, Canva baked them in. The product is easy. You make something cool, you share it. Someone asks, how do you make that hat? You say Canva, they sign up. It just spreads.
Did they make any key hires that boosted things?
Oh, yeah. A huge one was bringing Guy Kawasaki on board in 2014.
The Apple evangelist guy.
The very same. Former chief evangelist at Apple. Getting him as Canva's chief evangelist was a major coup.
What was his take on Canva?
He saw it in really grand terms. He said Canva was democratizing design, just like Apple had democratized computing or Google democratized information.
That's a big statement. And coming from him.
Exactly. That kind of validation from someone with his track record was immense. Sources suggest his arrival practically doubled their user numbers within a couple of months. Huge boost for brand equity.
What about more traditional marketing? Paid ad, SEO.
They did that smartly too. Paid Facebook ads were used effectively, often pushing the free 30-day Canva Pro trial. What's interesting is their top paid keywords weren't just Canva.
No. What were they?
Generic terms, things like collage maker or flyer template or just collage.
So capturing people searching for a task, not necessarily a brand.
Exactly. People who needed to make something specific, who might not even know Canva existed yet. Very clever.
And SEO, search engine optimization.
Masterclass. They set up their website with dedicated landing pages for almost every conceivable design type. Flyers, brochures, presentations, invitations, photo editor, you name it.
So if someone searched how to make a brochure,
Canva would likely be right near the top. Each page was filled with relevant templates and content, providing tons of value for users and making Google very happy. They basically captured organic search demand across the board.
they also invested a lot in content and education, didn't they?
Hugely. Their blog is packed with free resources, design tips, marketing advice, branding guides, and then there's the design school.
Design school.
Yeah, offering short courses created by experts on things like color theory, typography, layout, even marketing strategy. Sources say over 1 million people visit the design school every month.
1 million a month. Wow. So that's not just helping existing users.
No, it's a massive magnet for new users. It draws people in who want to learn, positions Canva as an authority, helps users get more value from the tool, and it's fantastic for their SEO. It's a win-win-win.
And the product itself just kept expanding. Right? It's not just simple graphics anymore.
Far from it. What they now call the visual suite is the result of years of development. It goes way beyond static images.
Like what?
Presentations, videos, print products they'll actually print and ship for you, simple websites, collaborative whiteboards, a whole range of things.
And these tools work together.
That's the key. They're designed to be interoperable. You might start a design as, say, a presentation, then easily resize and adapt it for a social media post, or even turn it into a basic web page, all within Canva.
That sounds incredibly useful. And they added paid versions, too, for businesses.
Right. Canva Pro for individuals needing more features, and Canva for teams or enterprise for businesses. These added things like brand kits so companies can keep their logos, colors, fonts consistent across all designs.
So shifting focus towards organizations as well.
Yeah, they saw a big need there. Companies want to consolidate tools, keep their intellectual property organized, ensure brand consistency. And it seems to be working. The sources claim over 95% of Fortune 500 companies are using Canva now.
95%. That's astonishing reach.
It really is, especially considering its origins.
And part of adding all these features involved buying other companies, didn't it? Acquisitions.
Yes, they've been quite strategic with acquisitions, buying companies like Zedings for better presentation features, Pixabay and Petzls for huge built-in stock photo libraries.
Right, I use those stock photos all the time in Canva.
Exactly. They also bought AI companies like Kaleido.ai, smart mockups for generating product mockups easily, and Flourish for sophisticated data visualization.
So instead of building everything from scratch, they integrated best-in-class tools.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It brought valuable assets and functionality directly into the platform, making Canva more powerful without necessarily making the core user experience more complex.
Now, this kind of rapid growth, adding all these features, it couldn't have all been easy. Were there major hurdles, big challenges?
Oh, definitely. One that sounds particularly stressful was a complete rewrite of the core platform.
A rewrite, like starting over with the code.
Essentially, yes, a fundamental rebuild. It was necessary to add really crucial features they needed for the future.
Such as?
Things like true real-time collaboration, multiple people editing the same design at once, seamlessly.
Like Google Docs, but for design.
Exactly. Also, proper support for right-to-left languages like Arabic and Hebrew, which is technically very complex, and ensuring it all worked perfectly across web, desktop, apps, and mobile.
That sounds like a massive undertaking. How long did they think it would take?
The initial estimate was about 6 months.
Okay. But I sense a but coming.
It took 2 years.
2 years. Wow. What did that mean, practically?
It meant that for 2 whole years, Canva, a product company, was essentially not shipping product, at least, not major new features on that core platform. Meanwhile, competitors are launching updates, iterating.
That sounds terrifying.
Melanie described it as walking through a dark, dark tunnel with a little tiny candle. Immense pressure, feeling like they were rolling the dice with everything, hundreds of staff, investors, all depending on this huge technical gamble paying off. The stress was apparently enormous.
So they got through it.
They did. And in hindsight, that incredibly difficult rewrite is seen as one of the most impactful things they ever did.
Why?
Because it laid the technical foundation that allowed them to scale to where they are now. It enabled all the features they've added since, allowed thousands of their own engineers to eventually work on different parts simultaneously. It was painful, but necessary for future growth.
That makes sense. What other factors were key to their global scale? They started in Australia, but they're everywhere now.
A big one was being globally focused from day one. Even though they started in Perth, the mission was always about empowering the world to design.
So not just an Australian company that expanded.
No, the mindset was global from the outset. This meant actively investing in localization early on. They launched in English, obviously, but quickly started adding more languages.
How many now?
Over 100, according to the sources, including those complex right-to-left languages that the rewrite enabled.
And reaching people on different devices was important too.
Critical. Understanding that billions of people access the internet primarily via mobile phones meant they couldn't just be a web platform. Having really good, seamless mobile apps for iOS and Android, plus desktop apps, was essential for that global reach.
Is it true they had particular success in China? That's often tough for Western tech companies.
Yeah, that's an interesting point in the sources. Instead of just rolling out the global version, which often fails due to unique market dynamics and regulations there,
What did they do?
they built a completely separate China-only version of Canva from the ground up.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
integrated with local platforms like WeChat. It was a much more tailored approach and apparently quite a rare success story for Western software entering China.
That's smart. Thinking about recent history, how did the pandemic affect them?
It was a strange time. While obviously devastating globally for Canva's business, the massive shift online actually acted as an accelerator.
More demand for online tools.
Huge surge in demand. Everyone suddenly needed to communicate visually online for remote work, online learning, virtual events. The types of templates people needed shifted too, like more online workshop materials, fewer physical event flyers.
And how did Canva itself handle this shift to remote work?
Apparently extraordinarily flawlessly. Being a digital native cloud-based company probably helped make that transition smoother than for many older businesses.
Let's talk about their mission again. Do the most good we can do.
Yeah.
How does that show up beyond just making software?
A big part is their commitment to education and nonprofits. They offer a completely free version of Canva Pro, all the premium features to K-12 students and teachers worldwide.
For free, how many use that?
Sources say around 80 million education users globally. The thinking is partly philanthropic, quality education tools should be accessible, but it also aligns perfectly with democratizing design and, of course, introduces the next generation to Canva.
Smart. And nonprofits, too.
Yep. Registered nonprofits can also get free pro subscriptions. Over 4,500 of them, apparently. Again, it does good, spreads awareness, and helps organizations doing important work.
A lot of this comes down to leadership and culture. Right?
Absolutely. It's led by that co-founder partnership, Melanie Perkins, Cliff Obrecht, and Cameron Adams. They've admitted they weren't necessarily experienced managers when they started.
They learned on the job.
Pretty much. Learned and adapted. They fostered this culture focused on setting crazy big goals and making them happen, celebrating wins, but also making employees feel like they're part of something genuinely impactful.
And that links back to their two-step plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Step 1, build one of the world's most valuable companies. Step 2, do the most good we can do. That's their stated core principle.
Does that actually work? Does it attract people?
Sources suggest it really does. It attracts talent who aren't just looking for a paycheck, but want their work to have a positive impact on the world. It's a powerful combination.
And the financial success, step 1, they certainly achieved that. What kind of scale are we talking now?
The numbers are huge.
Yeah.
U.S. $1.5 billion in revenue reported for 2023. And as of May 2025, something like 220 million monthly active users.
220 million, that's incredible.
It really is. And while tech valuations go up and down, the founders are clearly among Australia's wealthiest individuals.
But they're not just hoarding it. You mentioned step 2.
Right. Sources emphasize their perspective seems quite critical of excessive materialism. And they've backed that up with an enormous commitment.
Which is?
They've pledged to give away the vast majority of their wealth, over 80% of their equity stake in Canva, to the Canva Foundation. They've joined the Giving Pledge. It's a massive philanthropic commitment tied directly to the company's success.
Wow. That puts the do-good part into sharp focus. Looking back, the founders, especially Melanie, what personal qualities seem key to this whole journey?
Drive and ambition seem to be there from a very young age. Sources mention her starting little businesses as a kid, selling spars she made, rigorous training as a competitive figure skater, getting up at 4:30 a.m. for practice.
So discipline and persistence were ingrained early.
It seems so. That persistence, obviously crucial through all the rejections, resilience, the ability to look at something complex and find the simple path through it, dreaming really big, but then having the focus to execute step by step. These qualities come up again and again.
So wrapping this up,
Yeah.
What does this incredible Canva story really tell us? What are the big takeaways?
Well, I think it's just a powerful case study, isn't it? It shows how identifying a really widespread, genuine problem in this case, the frustration and complexity of essential software, and then having this unwavering vision to simplify it, that can lead to just phenomenal success.
Yeah, that initial insight was so key.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to sheer persistence, pushing through hundreds of rejections. It also really highlights the value of truly deeply listening to your users.
That close the loop idea.
Exactly. Building that strong community with them, not just selling to them, and fostering a company culture that aims for huge goals, but is also grounded in wanting to have a positive impact.
It feels like they achieved more than just building a tool.
I agree. They genuinely democratized a skill visual communication. They made it accessible. They made it feel possible for millions of people who never would have called themselves designers before. Individuals, small businesses, teachers, students, even huge companies.
And their journey also shows that tackling massive, scary challenges like that 2-year platform rewrite can be done. With resilience, with strategic thinking, you can come out the other side even stronger with greater capabilities.
Definitely. It wasn't an easy path, but they navigated those hurdles.
So here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Canva's massive success came from taking something complex and often exclusive graphic design and making it radically simple and accessible for everyone.
Think about your own world, your work, maybe a hobby, even just daily life. What are the processes, the tools, the skills that currently feel unnecessarily complicated or maybe intimidating or just plain inaccessible to most people?
What friction points exist? What could be fundamentally simplified, made more intuitive, more user-friendly to unlock creativity or efficiency or potential, not just for experts, but for everyone involved? What could you simplify?